Hey everybody, Colonel Fighter here, and it's been a long time since I actually posted something in regards to some of the work, but holidays are around the corner, and I had some things going on, so unfortunately I wasn't able to do any videoing for as far as producing any type of instruction portion. So I decided to take today, and instead of teaching something out of a manual and working out that way, I wanted to give it interpretation as far as what I think body mechanics is a very base concept, and how we can use these things for our betterment within fencing or any other type of hand-to-hand martial arts out there. So first and foremost, I want to give my dear friend Walker Skaggs, who is the leader of Rocket City HEMA. He's a phenomenal instructor, phenomenal martial artist. He gave me a shout out through one of his videos, which he called the High Vom Tag. So thank you so much for putting that out there, and I'm deeply honored that you shared that information, and I'm also very happy that it works for you. So that's actually going to be kind of what I'm going to be going for today, because he went through in great depth about the mechanics, about what you see historically and what you can do with this and how the body structures, and that was all fantastic. Plus, he shouted out and said, "Hey, man, maybe this will inspire him to make a video on this too." So I'm happy to do so, and that's what we're going to discuss today. But before we do anything with the sword, for me, it's all about the structure of the body. And we are going to be looking at what I think is happening here and what we can do with our body, and why this position, if we put where we put the sword, translates and changes how things go as far as chambering actions, defensive actions, etc. And what it means to actually not be a buffalo fighter versus whatever all these things are. Who knows? What is time? So it's just going to be an exploration as regards to how I see the body standing and how we get this movement. Also, a link to the description below. There's a link to one of my videos below in regards to what I say about moving the mountain, about the turns. If you take the principles of what's talked about today and add it to that video, you start to, at least in my opinion, you start to see what these things are, these cuts, and how they become something different. So without any further ado, we're going to start moving into body structures and what I call the buoyancy of yourself. So part of the discussion that was brought about as far as this High Vom Tag, which is just the High Vom Tag, and that Walker had brought up, it boiled down to how I choose to structure my body so that I'm not fighting myself multiple times. And what I mean by that is how I stand in the origin of a structure has a huge impact on what I have to do to get myself out of it and into something else. So probably make a total different video of that in the future, but the reality is, for right now, I just want to talk about movement itself here as we stand. And one of the things I've noticed about this is if we stand with the arms to the side, so you can see no leg is forward here, I'm just standing up and down, arms to the side, shoulders back, spines in line, I'm just standing. If you do this yourself, you might notice that you don't have to do a lot to maintain this structure. In fact, I'm not muscling myself to stand. I'm just standing, and that's enough. So this is a big indicator for me of how I had to change things, because a lot of times when I would get into fencing positions, I was very much like I'm muscling myself ready to charge forward with this. And what I found is being muscled forward, ready, tense. That allowed me to, I had to unlock my muscles to go to another position and extend forward with this. I'm not saying that you're not going to be tensed in certain parts of the body, but I was muscling this forward into the second, so my whole body is charged, and then I had to unlock myself to move. So, looking at this basic structure of standing, if I'm standing like this right here, I can stand with relative ease. Now, if I put my feet together, and you notice my feet are they're straight, I'm not open, I'm not building structure. I'm standing just like this. What I start to observe is, by doing this, I immediately start to teeter. Now, I can muscle myself here and hold this rigid, but I'm talking about standing naturally and what that does. So by just standing here, I have to make multiple micro adjustments in order to maintain this same position. This gets worse if I put my arm off to the side because, as you can tell, I've added a weight outside of the body, which the structure cannot hold up for. Now, this does not mean I can't stand here, but in doing this, I am tensing this part of the body to accommodate for this extension outside of my structure. So in that regard, if I widen my base, I have better stability. If I extend outside of this, that's going to have a ratio as far as how much the structure here, how much the structure here is in comparison to where I'm extended to. An example, my arm out the side right here, I still fall over. However, if I just put my hand here and lean, and I'm not leaning here, but this is just the body, you may notice that my head and my foot create a line. And my elbow, where this is at right here, and my foot are opposite of one another in proportion. And I say in proportion because ultimately I don't have a ruler or yardstick, and I've not gone to that great length here. And to be honest with you, everybody's different. Everyone's got different shapes and everything else. That's something else to be considered with this. So by doing this right here, I have created a new form of equilibrium because this side here and this side here are within proportion with one another. And yes, my arm is up here, so that means I have to muscle it, but that doesn't mean necessarily that my arm is out of alignment or that I have to muscle this place. So this leg right here is very steady. There's nothing going up. So if I bring my arm down here, let me start all over here because I start muscling it throughout the talking. I come here, let's go to the other side. Here, and then this leg is loose. If I decide to, let me put both my hands here. If I decide to lower this, I will start to feel my body shift because this external is gone, and therefore it comes right back to my feet structure. However, if I drop it too fast, the counterbalance shoots over. Now, mind you, again, like I said, I'm letting myself go. I want to feel where I fall off here because this tells me how much I keep within shift of my body. So what does this tell me in this regard? Well, it tells me that I have, if I am using this correctly, that I can utilize my arms almost fell over there, to shift my body rather than just pushing and pushing and pushing. The body itself becomes almost like this wave inside. So that is going this way. Now, if I shift myself right here, I have the same thing. So if I have my hands again to the side, I can stand with relative ease. It's very nice. It's cool. It's comfortable. But if I put my hands forward on my hips, I again start feeling the weight of just my hands in front. It's pulling me forward. This gets faster, so if I'm here, you can see how it's a slow start up. But if my feet are right here, if I just do this, I immediately go. So again, these are talking about the balance points of the body. If we add a sword to this mixture, which is a foreign entity to this structure, so this is not something that our body has a part of. And yes, we can learn to work with this thing, it is not a part of us. We are manipulating something outside of our structure. So no matter how many times a day, how many hours, how much weights or anything else that happen here, this is not a part of your everyday movement. And we can make the argument like, well, I can walk around with them and get this way. This is true, but you're not walking around like this. And if you did this, you'd have different type of body structures and everything else. And that's not the case. The point I'm saying here is by adding an extra structure, again, where I had achieved balance like this. Now, If I come here with this, the sword, see how my arm, it's the same kind of concept of my arm being down against my chest. So now, the sword is here, and if I raise the arm, I'm over. And that is, again, because we are talking about adding a foreign object. It's the same thing about being right here. So if I have myself stand like this side, I immediately start to feel myself pull over. That's just by me putting my hand, like having a sword here. Immediately it comes over. So if this right here is my structure piece and I start to come forward, then adding a sword here is even faster. Okay? So what does this buy us? Well, a lot of what I do for my structure piece is I look at the body, the train tracks. So if I'm staying here very narrow, that means I'm muscling to stay up. I'm tight roping a fight. In that case, I've lost stability. By widening myself, one, this does a couple of things, which allows for greater turn of motions, but it also allows for me to move relatively at ease. Because if I'm standing here in a fashion, and the way that allows me to maintain it so that my feet put my hands down like this, I'm not falling forward. I may feel some muscular tension in my calf, but that's because my foot's bent. This is a charged muscle. But it's not a locked muscle. If I lean forward, this knee and all of my calf have got to fire in order to hold up my body structure. That's what I call a locked muscle. I'm not talking about as far as like the anatomical, like physical therapy concept or massage therapy concept of a locked up muscle. I'm saying by me putting myself right here, and you notice, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I just have a slight bend. By doing this right here with my leg, the shift of the weight, by leaning forward, it's all my knee and in my quad. By coming backwards, it comes right up here to my hip and upper part of my thigh. By doing this, I can lift, move, lift, move, lift, move. If I lean forward on this, I can't lift this leg. You know, of course I can hop. But if we're talking about having mobility, I must unlock this pressure to build my train tracks again so that I can lift up the leg. Right? So when I add this entity to the body, automatically, by me standing here in position, and this is just tutto porto di ferro, whatever you want to call it, depending on what your art is right here. So I'm using off of Fiore. This is his tutto porto di ferro, the full iron gate. By me standing like this right here, there is a lot of me that wants to shift over because of body, and that's where the muscling comes into play. However, I'm not falling forward. I'm able to stand here relatively comfortably. If I put myself in posto breve, I'm also sitting here relatively comfortably. If I extend, I feel my body want to shift as I go off camera there. So, why is that all important? Because when we talk about this High Vom Tag up here, and this is one of the things I was talking about with Walker, if I'm flaring out my arms like this, I don't get anything from this. And I know there's plenty of pictures out of this, and a lot of people may think, well, I'm charged up those muscles. Charged muscles, you have to uncharge them to charge them. Cocked back like this, I still have to come forward with this to extend in. Other parts of me have got to move. And I know there's lots of boxers out there and there's plenty of other things out there. That's fine. That's fantastic. My point is that being up here, if I'm charged like this, I still have got to bring my arms forward to come this way. Whereas if just right here, all I have to do is allow my weight, my body to shift because it's right in front of me. By it being right in front of me, all I do from here is simply just allow the weight of the sword, which is already forward of me, because if I just stand here and let myself go forward, I immediately want to fall forward with this. And I aid that just by popping forward. Right? So just like what Walker was saying. All the master cuts can be done from up here. And like you said, also, it's not that I necessarily like to do it all from there, but I like to explore it because it's teaching to be on high, such as like this right here, has taught me, again, this is balance management. Where am I putting this up? Where am I extending to? So if I'm just doing the regular zone ort from up here, by me coming forward with the weight and then coming forward, it's just by just pushing slightly off the calf. Slightly off the calf, I already want to fall forward on this. So instead of being like, and having to hack, it's just going here and then forward this. And you're already falling. So all you have to do is pull forward this, right? Arms in front. And you get the same kind of concept. It's coming forward, so strike and then foot. Strike and foot. You know, the manual says to go with the left and strike with the right. So that by using that, I can start to go forward and build my body structure to going forward too. Which just means by adding myself to go forward, I'm already starting to go motion into this way without muscling it. I don't have to go and hit the person. This isn't a hammer. So, from up here, I sit off this line and I just allow myself a slight push forward with my foot. And then I just feel the wave of my gravity and my balance going in that direction. We're talking about the other master cuts. So the next one being crump. If I choose to be up here on high. Contextually, it talks about stepping off to the side. Well, if I have my hands up on high, as such, and again, I'm not flaring. My arms are forward on this. All I have to do is, if I allow my feet to shift, just do that. The blade is, and I let my left hand push forward, like it says, punching underneath the arm. You get the cut. And it's not me cutting, it's the blade falling. Keep looking up, there's a light here that I replaced 3 times. So here, forward. And you get the crumple over, right? And that's just by me, if I just shift and then step. It's not muscles, it's gravity. The spare cow is no different. Up here, and all I'm doing there is, again, just like with the crump, where I shift my body this way, and I let the pommel go underneath this way. Do the same thing on the right side with the spare. So again, in this case, I'm going to shift myself open, which in what I feel here is it allows the blade to come here. And I've come across this line. For shield how, do the same thing. Up here, and again, from this position, I'm going to pull back with the hands. Again, where the sword falls, like what he was saying with the Unterhaus, and I love that Unterhaus from underneath there. So my favorite things to cut from here, which is just to simply let the blade fall and then pop up. It's all gravity, and I'm aiding this with my feet. So I can shift myself here. So you notice, if I just let this be Mobius, the blade is going to move. And this is not me waving it. It's me lightly holding it, and it moves. Okay. So for Shilau, same kind of concept. Before here for crump, I've set this way. Now for shield, I just let it pop over. And I just allow myself to turn. This motion allows me to manipulate where this balance point goes. And I can go high. You see this with Meyer's depiction, where his blade's up high like this and his foot's behind. Just to get there, it's this, and I'll let it pop. And this is no muscular. This is just allowing the sword to go, because I've got balance there. That's it. And then the last one, Scheidler. If I'm up on high, I do the same thing. Now in this right here, it becomes a different mechanic. Arms upwards and outwards. So as I step, I usually, again, keeping with the first portion of the zettel, go with the left strike with the right. And I like to see my Streitler high, with arms extended so that the tip is thrusting at the face. And also from up here, I hang the point into the face, right? Depending on which RD I'll let you look at. So again, I become rigid in the upper body, but I just allow myself to dip. And then I can push forward and strike. So all of this is possible because at the very core of this is exploring how the body will move and where I have to shift my feet. I mean, you see with that triangle step, right? I shift and I catch myself. So now this has become the foreign object and my balance point has been here to accommodate this hand and this extension of the foot, right? So we can do this over and over and over again. If we feel that our legs locked up, all right here, that all that does is means in order for me to move forward, I only have one option, which is forward. I don't know, like I said, I don't think that, I mean, you talk about things where is the option with, dealing with something that's cutting at your leg. If my leg here is supple, it's easier for me to just to sit there and oscillate back and forth. I can go here, and this is just, weight is here, accommodate for the weight of my leg. And just shifting back and forth. And you'll notice, I'm not leaning, I'm just standing. Right? Everything here. Right? So, big fundamental of that is where you are within your structure. So that's really all the movements in a nutshell. And I know that's quite a lot to kind of take in there, but at the same time too, it's what I had to do with my body is I'm pushing 40, and I had to realize I'm not 18 anymore. And so I took a deep dive with the text, and I started to look at it and say, okay, fight with all the body. What does that even mean to me? Does that just mean that I have all, that I fight with everything? So if I have my arms wrapped up, I punch someone in the face with my face. I mean, that's fighting with all the body. I think Fiore would appreciate that. But does it mean that everything's one motion? Or does it mean that I'm learning how to mechanically use my body in a way that's structured, that works within the structure of my footwork? So for me, my change really came from understanding that I had to stand and fix my structure. Without having a structure piece which allowed me to move freely and still remain charged action, so I could move into charge action. Without having that, I didn't really have the opportunity to talk about, I didn't have the capacity to move effectively in all directions. All I had was one way, and that was forward and forward and forward. And I don't think that, to my opinion, that's not what a real fight is. So by shifting and paying attention to my structure, noticing what the legs are at, and allowing myself to move freely within there, the sword now becomes a companion, if you will, that I am moving with, and I have to accommodate this other thing that is now I am attaching myself to. So I think that ultimately this will assist many people out there. Again, Walker, if you're watching this, thank you so much. It meant the world to me that you post something out there. Thank you, because I haven't been posting a lot lately, and it's just because of life, and it's a lot to, it's a lot to kind of put my ideas together on certain things. So thank you for the challenge to put myself out there. That was exceedingly helpful. And thank you for sharing your perspective as what you saw within that. So for anyone else is out there, I hope that this helps you out, because like I said, I'm not saying that people have to fight from the High Vom Tag. I'm saying that ultimately I think that it's a simpler action than what is imaged. And I think that it has a lot more to do with gravity. It's a gravity and balance piece more than it is about muscling and prominence of power. The sword's heavy enough. All you have to do is let it go and get out of its way. And by doing so, I find you have a lot more structure. So, as always, like I said, this is just a look at the High Vom Tag, or as Walker called it, my interpretation of the High Vom Tag, which is the Holt Vom Tag. So thank you for that. I was really appreciative of that. But again, this is just the High Vom Tag, and why it might be something that people utilize. Because, and to me, this gives context why the Spherico would be something that's utilized against. It's because it is a commanding position that can be pushed through effortlessly. Because if it's off the shoulder, to me, that feels a lot more like contending with a buffle. So if someone's up high here, I'm now finessing this, so I'm just letting the blade go. And if I'm letting the blade go, well, the Spherico makes a lot more sense rather than just sitting off the shoulder. So anyway, again, everybody, it's good to put something together here. Good to see everybody. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. Hope everyone's safe, and hoping to do more of these videos in the future, in the times to come. So anyway, take care. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, train well, fight on. Oh!